What do you think I'm doing?
Put this in a bowl so you don't crinkle the bag up while we're talking.
I was getting a bowl.
I'm muting them.
It was it rained during the parade, but there was such confusion. We were hanging out in the tunnel because we didn't want to get rained on till the very end. And so when we go up to get our seat, it was so confusing. And across the street, we were supposed to be up in the grandstand. Across the street, there were like 4-row bleachers just sitting there, and they were half full. So Cindy and I decided to go ahead and sit there. So we had front row on the bleachers, and it turned out great. It rained, but then the weather was perfect for the game. So
What was the game?
Indiana, Alabama.
Oh shit. Well, good for you. It just happened to be that Indiana was playing.
Yeah, that's why we originally when we booked the tour, we didn't get tickets for the game. And then when Indiana got in, we decided to go ahead and get tickets.
Gotcha.
Our daughter went to Indiana.
Erin, I muted you. Can you unmute yourself?
What's that?
I can, but it's loud in here.
Quiet on the set.
Right?
Well, Murph, I don't know college football at all, but I just saw something that one of the commentators was like, "Oh, Indiana, they shouldn't even be in the playoffs. If they had to play the SEC's schedule, they wouldn't even be in the playoffs, all that kind of stuff."
I don't think they said that much after the Rose Bowl.
This is pretty resounding.
I'd say the team proved them wrong. I'd say Indiana proved them wrong.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. One thing that was amazing, and I don't know if it attributed to the fact that Indiana hasn't been in that type of limelight before, but I am not exaggerating. It was 3/4 IU fans to Alabama fans.
Wow.
And yesterday in the airport, you would have swore it was a IU alumni reunion. I mean, everyone, including Cindy, was wearing Indiana apparel. But yeah, high fives as you're walking down the airport. I mean, it was crazy. You might have saw one or two Alabama sweatshirts yesterday, but literally thousands of IU stuff. And that was the way it was in the Rose Bowl that day. It was just unbelievable how. But Alabama, when we had some Alabama fans in our tour group, and they weren't very optimistic about the game. But
Mike, was that after the game?
no, before the game.
Oh,
before the game, I had breakfast actually the day of the game with two Alabama. It was a mother and daughter. They both were on a part of Alabama's flag team 40 years apart, something like that, 30 years apart. I don't know. The girl, the daughter was a teacher in South Carolina now, but her and her mom flew out for the game. But they said they weren't very optimistic, but they turned out to be right. But it was, the one of my takeaways, the Rose Bowl holds right at 90,000 people. And I know this is going to sound strange, but it was a very intimate setting. I mean, I don't know how they got 90,000 people in that small area. It seemed like a much smaller stadium than even like Memorial Field in Champaign that holds 60,000. I don't know how they did it, but it was really strange.
I'm an idiot.
We obviously we're very close to the field, all of us.
I'm an idiot. What college is Pasadena? Is it one of the college teams stadiums?
I think it's Pasadena Junior College plays football there, believe it or not.
Well,
90,000 people? Wow.
That stadium was built. That stadium was built for the Olympics originally, and whoever uses it uses it.
Yeah, yeah. But I was, it's an old stadium, and you can tell. Like the one thing that you could tell it's not used a lot. The scoreboards were not like state of the art like we're used to. in big facilities, like the replays really sucked. You know, you could see it, but it wasn't, like now you can, like, have you been to Dallas?
Well, I've never been in that stadium.
Oh, well, if you watch a football game there, you might as well just sit back and watch the screens because you can
Yeah.
see it better on the screen.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a screen that's over 50 yards. It's crazy.
Yeah, you're closer to the action on the screen.
Yeah. So, but anyway,
So they're
you
in
guys
the
have a good holiday.
are they in the championship then?
No, they're in the Final Four, so they
Oh,
they have
Final
to
Four.
play Oregon now, or they play Oregon, and then Ole Miss and uh,
Oregon. Oregon.
No,
no,
Indiana has to play
no,
Oregon.
Indiana plays Oregon.
Alan's
Oh,
saying
Miami.
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 Oh,
Sorry.
Miami.
Miami,
Miami.
Miami, yeah. Is that right?
I borrowed you.
Yeah.
Hope you don't mind.
Hey, yeah, those are the four in it. How you doing, Kev?
Good. How you doing, Mike? You back?
Good.
Are you
Yeah,
back?
I got back last night about 9:30.
Hey, you were talking about the ratio of Indiana fans with Alabama. We went to a local place. We're down in Gulf Shores right now. So you would think wherever you went to was all Alabama fans. We got to this
Uh-huh.
place. We got to this place, and Michelle was surrounded by Indiana fans.
Wow.
Kevin, you couldn't believe the number of IU fans at the Rose Bowl game. I
That's
mean, it
awesome.
was just crazy.
That's awesome. So at this place, I had Michelle to the left of me, Alabama. Next to me was a girl from Indiana. So
Yeah. Well,
They're
it
not
was
cheer
it
for either
was
team.
go team.
yeah.
Go team.
Go sports.
Well, we're
Mike,
here.
Mike, I'm glad you didn't get rained on for the football game. For as sloppy as that field was, they really cleaned that up, and that held their footing, which was amazing to me.
They said that they had the tarp on since Tuesday.
Oh,
Yeah.
let it
So
let it get rained on.
yeah.
I don't know what it's. We got a ton of claims from California from water. Mostly, it's like the people with sunroofs, their drains get clogged, and then they get water in their car. Anyway, they've had a ton of rain out there, and it was an atmospheric river. I don't know quite what that means, but the atmospheric river. Rory's here. Good morning, Rory. Rory.
Rory's not listening
She's
to us.
frozen. She's frozen.
She's froze.
Well, we're here to talk about Dad, Robert Lee Hilligoss, born this day in 1942, would have been 84 years old today. So thank you to everybody for joining us here. Talk about him. As I've said many times, some cultures believe you die 3 times. Once when you take your last breath, once when your remains are handled, and then when your name is last spoken by a human being. So as long as we're here, we'll talk about them, share our stories. Murph told me something very meaningful the other day about Mike. I don't think they know. Tell them your story about what happened a couple weeks ago.
Well, we do this thing called Leadership Springfield, and it's a 14-week program that we have. This year we had 43 young people go through it, and we have a different speaker, different events every week. It tries to help them, in their leadership skills. And this one gentleman, he's done it for us for uh, several years. Steve Thomas is his name, and he literally goes all over the world and gives these talks. Well, we're blessed to have him. Well, 2 years ago, he's given his talk and he sees me bawling like a baby. And Rory, you might not realize this, the others probably do. I cry during Hallmark commercials, okay? So, but I'm bawling like a baby. And so he kind of stops. He goes, "What's going on, Mike?" And I said, "Well, you described one of my best friends." And he was talking about part of being a leader is seeing things in people you don't see. And I'm going to cry today, guys. Okay, so don't worry, I'm fine. It's just me. But and he was also talking about you will have. He had coaches in his life who screamed and hollered and grabbed him and whatever, and when he turned around and go, God, I love that guy, And then you had other coaches who tried to do the same thing, and you hated him because the guy who might have screamed and hollered and whatever, you knew that he was doing it from the right place. He was doing it to make you better. He didn't care about himself. He cared about you. And that's Coach Hilligoss. Anyway, the part about seeing something in you that you don't see in yourself is I often wondered why he picked me to be quarterback. I was, I'm not exaggerating. I'm not being humble right now here, guys. I was of the 34 guys on our football team, there was probably 33 faster than me, at least 30. Okay. Uh, I couldn't throw a spiral. I couldn't do anything, but he wanted me to be the leader. And he knew that they would follow me. And I didn't know that. And I called every play that year. We didn't talk in the huddle. I was the only one who was allowed to talk because that's what Coach Hilligoss said. And so I realized here I was, I was 16 years old when he made me the quarterback, 17 when we started playing games. And he just saw something in me that I didn't see. And so this year, he gets to the point he's given that part and he makes me come up and tell that story just like I did to you guys. And I'm crying like a baby during it. And but I thanked him. I thanked him. I said, thanks for letting me share some of the greatness of Bob Hilligoss to these 43 individuals. And so, uh, imagine when they saw a 72-year-old guy up there crying about something happened when he was 16 years old, they might think it's important to try to emulate those type of qualities. And that's just one of many, many things I think of your dad and my dear friend. So that's the story there, Ryan.
Yep. Thank you, Mike. Dad gave me this about 10 years ago. It's his baby book. Where he had this, I don't know, but he gave it to me. There's a picture of Grandma and Grandpa and him. It says Mother and Daddy, myself taken at Lake Mattoon just a few weeks before he joined the Marines, July of 43. So Dad was whatever, 16, 18 months old. Born January the 3rd, 1942 at 11:45 p.m. at Jarman. Is that right, Rick? Jarman?
Jarman
J-A-R.
Hospital.
Yeah, this is Grandma's handwriting. It's a little hard to
It's
read.
Tuscola's community.
Tuscola, Letha Cook, Robert Samuel, Hilligoss, Dr. E.J. Gross. Dr. Gross. I don't know if it was a joke or not, but the story that
No.
he always told was it came time to leave, and the doctor said, hey, it's time to settle up on the bill. And Grandpa said, what do I owe you? And Dr. Gross said, well, I think $20 will cover it.
Yeah.
So Dad was
You think
born with $20.
You think that boy's worth $20? I think that's the way he's put it.
Oh, wow.
$20. Jesus, that bill today would be, I don't even know, $20,000, $30,000.
$6,000, yeah.
If that was just a birth, with no other special stuff going
Yeah.
on.
Oh, gosh.
Well, Rick,
Yeah.
he was born in 42. Ron was born in 47. What year were you born?
51.
Well,
51.
and you guys were living in the Humboldt house at that time when you were born?
No, actually, when I was born, we were living in a little tiny house outside of Mattoon on 19th Avenue.
Yeah.
That's the street that goes down by the
Yeah.
Humboldt
It goes north
Cemetery.
and south. You were
Yeah,
living north of
south,
town?
north of town. Uh, your dad would talk about how cold it was in there. Ron and him slept in a bed in a bedroom that wasn't heated. They get in underneath all the covers and try to stay warm. Was then that's the house I was born in, or we lived in at the time.
Well, I don't remember
I
that.
did
Is
not
that
know you
house?
guys lived in Mattoon.
Yeah, I don't think he ever
Well,
talked about that.
uh, Dad liked Arcola better for some reason. Uh, that were that's they lived out there. They lived in a bunch of different houses. I mean, they lived in an old schoolhouse. They lived in a converted uh, corn corn crib. They put it together to where you could live in it. They had interesting first 10 years of their married lives. Are pretty darn interesting.
Well, how old were you, Rick, when they moved to Humboldt?
Two,
You were two?
two. I can remember they bought that house and had an extra lot on the side, big yards. Uh, they were scared to death that it was going to, they'd never be able to make the payments. And the payments were $23 a month. The house cost $2,500 in 1953. Mom was pregnant with Ruth, and they decided they needed a bigger house, someplace to really call home. And so they moved in, and we lived on the very outskirts of Humboldt, the big metropolis of Humboldt.
Well, wait a minute. You're talking about the house on the west side of the tracks?
Yep.
Okay.
You ever
Okay.
count the number of houses that are on the west side of the tracks? There's only about 20 houses. I counted it up one day, and I think there were about 10 kids in my class that lived in town, and everybody else lived in farms around it. And most of the kids that lived in town lived that they in my class. Most of the kids that lived in town lived on the other side of the tracks. It's pretty amazing, you know.
I'm looking at this book and it says Baby's First Journey from the hospital in Tuscola to grandparent Hilligoss's house. She's talking about the farm on 19th.
Yeah, that southwest of town.
The temperature in Sheridan's ambulance, and this is interesting. I didn't realize this. They took him by ambulance from Tuscola to the house. Was 12 below zero.
Oh,
I think
God.
that's why they went to Grandma and Grandpa's Hilligoss's house, because it was so cold that they were living in that corn crib or whatever the hell it was. That's the thing that amazes me is I talk about this all the time. For where he started out, incredibly humble means 81 years later, he lived a hell of a life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's America. You know, you can make it, I guess. You could at least at that generation, you can make it if you work hard. Mom was a bit of a driving force of that too. Mom kept an eye on things.
Well, she worked hard. Grandpa worked hard.
Your dad told me that Dad, when he came home from the service, wanted to buy and operate a gas station. Did he ever tell you this? And his dad told him, "No, you don't want to do that."
Cars were passing fancy.
So I think there was about 10 years there where, he kind of goes, "What do I do?" You know, I think put him off his stride for a number of years. Then he finally decided what he wanted to do and started doing it.
Rick, I don't know if I've ever told you this story, but when I first became a huge Bruce fan, read the autobiography and paid attention to stuff, he'd always talk about, that his one of his biggest storylines in his career was that when he was a kid, he's growing up in the 60s, he's got long hair, he's a freak, and his dad would sit in a kitchen in the dark and drinking beer and smoking cigarettes. That was his dad. And Doug Springsteen served in the army in World War II, saw action. So he tells these stories for years and years and years. Well, then it turns out that his dad had some serious psychological issues. Anyway, I'm telling dad about this, and dad says, well, that sounds an awful like my dad, being very quiet, sitting in the dark sometimes. They were dealing with PTSD. Like we didn't know it at the time, but that's what they
Right.
were dealing with.
Exactly.
And he and I were driving through Mattoon, and I'm telling him the story. And there was some factory over in the right. There's a factory on the north side of of 16. And he's like, "Hey, when I was a kid, Dad would bring us over here, and we could see the lights bouncing off the glass inside of this factory. And Dad loved that. He just loved to drive by that factory and watch the lights bouncing off the glass." And Mike, you've talked about that before with your dad. Like you think your dad probably was. They all probably suffered that to some degree, depending on
Yeah, you
what
know,
kind of action they saw.
I say, tell people my dad was a functioning alcoholic. I mean, I don't remember seeing my dad sober on Friday or Saturday night. He didn't do anything bad to me or anything like that. He provided for us, but he had issues, and he didn't talk about. Well, if you listen to my dad talk, all he did in the World War II was play softball and have a good time and drink. And one day they had a reunion in Divernon of all the Seabees, and they're telling a story, and they go, Murph, remember that day when you had to raise the front end of the I don't know, the front end loader or whatever, because that sniper was shooting at us. And I'm going, that doesn't sound like just playing softball, and
Uh,
because his last duty assignment was they were shipped to Wake Island, and they built the runways for those planes to land and refuel to go to Tokyo. And so when they got to Wake Island, it wasn't totally secure island. They still had
yeah.
snipers and everything going on, and I guess Dad's out there, plowing a landing strip, and snipers were shooting at him. He had to use the bucket to to protect him.
I didn't realize that there were any Japanese on Wake Island at that time, but I know that was a very difficult operation for them to put that in.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know. All I know is my dad. I always thought this was one of the interesting stories. My mom and dad got married during World War II at Pearl Harbor, and they had a 24-hour pass for their honeymoon. And when dad gets back from it, the shore patrol are there, and they tell him to get in, and he goes, "Hey, I had I had a pass. I'm not AWOL." And they go, "We know that." And unbeknownst to him, his unit was being shipped out. So mom and dad got married, and the very next day he was shipped to Wake Island and didn't see her for 9 months.
Wow.
Is that crazy?
What'd your mom do at that point in time? Like when he got
Well,
shipped out?
she was in the she was still in the assigned to uh, Pearl Harbor. So she worked there at Pearl Harbor as a storekeeper. She was in the waves, and she worked there till the war was over. She got back to Springfield. She had never met my grandparents before, obviously, because she met Dad in the war. She had never met them, and she had to live with them till my dad finally got home several months later,
Hmm.
because she
Wow.
got out before he did. Yeah.
Murph, we need to do an interview, just me and you, and I try to do this with Dad, and I did this about 6 different days, and my plan was to talk from the time he was born until now, and
Oh wow.
uh, I think the first time we got maybe through when he was 2 years old. Uh, he'd go off on tangents. Something would pop up. Somebody'd ask a question, and he's off on a tear. And 2 hours later, here we are, haven't gotten
Well, that
anywhere.
sounds about right. It'd be about 80 hours for his life story.
Maybe if we're lucky. And then he'd forget what he said. He'd repeat himself.
Yeah.
Murph, we will do that. Let's do an interview. I want to do some early Mike Murphy days.
Oh my, I got some Bob Hilligoss stories that will just, I love telling them. Some of them your dad would flinch when I would tell them because unless you were there, you didn't understand he was always in the right, but it doesn't sound that way when you hear the stories now.
Well, one of my favorite stories that you've told, it doesn't really involve him other than the fact that he was a supervisor. But if you would indulge us, could you tell us the Bobby Day story? Or the one I'm talking about is the cinnamon rolls. That's my favorite.
Oh no, that's Bobby Hogan.
Oh, that was Bobby Hogan.
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, they had your dad as our supervisor for summer help. So we worked for the school and he was our supervisor, and our job was to paint the classrooms and strip the floor and just do all the summer
We're talking about
maintenance.
the old school, the old building.
The old high
Okay.
school that's no longer there, probably because it probably would still
Probably
be
because
there.
somebody put dad in charge and he had you guys doing the work. That's why.
We shortened that school's life by several years in just that one summer. But it was
I
Ron
think it was
Monar.
planned. They did that on purpose. Let's let these guys screw it up so badly that we have to tear it down.
The referendum went flying, went through because of what we did to that school. But so it's Bobby Hogan, Rod Monar, myself, and Mike Kopp working for your dad. And Monar and I got there early every day because our parents didn't trust us to get there on our own. So they dropped us off on their way to work. So we were there like an hour early. We'd get there at, 7 o'clock in the morning. And we'd walk uptown and buy donuts or cinnamon rolls. And Bobby Hogan, who lived in town, and his dad was a farmer, would literally walk up at 1 minute till 8 o'clock. That's when he would walk in the store. I mean the school. And so, and we love Bobby Hogan, but we were mean to him. So every day we would make sure we had, and it was mainly me. I don't want to push this on Monar. He was there, but it was mainly me. We would wait till we had Hogan was walking up, and Hogan was always so hungry because he just rolled out of bed. And I would have one donut left or something, and I'd lick it and say, "Oh, I don't want it. You want it, Bobby?" Or I'd take a bite out of it, or I'd hand it to him and drop it and step on it. And I did this every day, every day. I mean, just not a very good person. I'm sorry, but so towards the end of it, the summer, I decided to really do something terrible. But I took a cinnamon roll, and I always remember, it's in one of those yellow paper, the bottom's yellow. You can still buy them that way. I took the cinnamon roll, took it apart, and globbed blue paint, this paint that we were painting and I put it there and make sure you couldn't see the paint, set it there, and I sat it on the banister. And I walked away and I said, "Hogue, we've been so terrible to you all summer. Here, you can have the last one if you want it, but if you want it." And I tried to, and before I could say, and I really was going to tell him, "You might want to check it." Before I did that, he was expecting me to do something terrible. He grabbed it and bit into it, and blue paint squirted. I mean, just squirted out and on his cheeks. And and it was on. He was so mad. And Bobby Hogan's the nicest person in the world until he's not. And then he's the meanest person in the world. It's an on-off switch. I'm serious. There's no one nicer in the world than Bobby Hogan until the light switch goes off, and then he will kill you. I mean, he will. He punched a state trooper one time. Yeah, the guy, he's just insane. And so he starts chasing me, and he picks up this stick, and I'm running up and down the steps, and he's swinging as hard as he can. I mean, he really wanted to kill me. And So you guys probably don't remember the old high school, but it had 2 flights of steps. And so I'm running up and trying to get away from him and running down. And I get to this one landing before the last flight, and he is hurt me so bad. I mean, blood's coming out of my head. I mean, he's hitting me that hard with the stick. So I decided the only thing I can do is I'm looking back, I got to leap. And it's like a 15-foot leap, to the ground. I wasn't going to go down the steps. I leap and he leaps at the same time, and we didn't realize it. We were making so much noise. The superintendent, who just got into school, came around the corner. So we're in midair, and we literally crashed and knocked Mr. Ford down to the ground. We're rolling around on there, and he didn't quit. He's still trying to beat me with a stick. And they finally pull it away, and Hogan is he's trying to explain what happened, and he's spitting paint on Mr. Ford. And poor Mr. Ford, I didn't think of it at the time, but I thought of it later. He was in a dilemma. Here he is holding off 2 guys trying to kill each other, or Hogan's trying to kill me. I was just trying to survive. And both of our parents are on the school board. So I'm sure he was wondering, what am I going to do here? So yeah,
Well, here's
that's
the question. You're supposed to have a supervisor, namely
yeah.
Bob
Well,
Hilligoss. Where was
it was
Dad
8
in all
o'clock.
this?
It was 8 o'clock. We had to be there at 8, but your dad didn't have to be there at 8. He'd
Oh,
normally show up about 8:30, tell us what to do, and then leave for the rest of the morning. I'm serious. That's why we got the science room on fire later on. But I won't tell that story till another day. But yeah, your dad was stealing money by taking a paycheck for that summer. There's no supervision whatsoever. I mean, he told us one day as he's leaving, paint the fence around the track, and paint it. And then he says, but don't use spray paint. And I'm going, I hadn't thought of that. And so we get the air compressor out, and I knew how to do an air compressor spray because that's how my dad spray painted radiators. And so I put it there. We spray painted the fence, and then the next day we had literally a half dozen people come and bring their cars that we had painted in the neighborhood. Yeah, yeah. But your dad got paid for being our supervisor.
sounds very familiar. Now do this, do that. Now Eli, Grandpa Barr always loved to tell Murph. We had a guy named Eli that worked at the store, Filipino. Kevin, what was his brother's name? Eli and
Bong,
what?
bong,
Bong.
bong.
Oh, I remember them.
Dad would be back in the office, and Eli was the manager or whatever, and Grandpa
Yeah.
Barr was there, and Dad would be like, "Now, Eli, here's what I want you to do." Grandpa Barr would say that all the time. He was very good at telling other people what to do.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it was crazy.
Hey, Murph,
Yeah,
where
by the way, that happened in the summer of 1970. And if I tell that story, or anybody tells that story, and Bob Hogan's in the room, watch his face. He's still
mad?
at me. Oh yeah.
55 years later, he still wants to get a stick and beat you over the head.
Yeah, he would. If he wasn't married to Kay, Kay's the only reason I'm alive. Because if it was up to Bob, he would still kill me.
If
Where-
that happened today, Dad would have gone to jail. He would have been charged with child endangerment. He'd been in jail.
Oh, yeah.
where was Rod Molnar during all this?
Rod Monar was laughing, just sitting back laughing. Rod was always at my side, but I was the one who did the really bad things. And so, Rod wasn't trying to break it up. He didn't care if Hogan killed me, but he thought it was funny. Yeah.
Tell
Yeah.
a story about the hole in the floor.
Oh, well, that's the fire. That's when we caught the. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't tell short stories, but okay, we have to strip the science room floor, and your dad, your brother leaves. He tells us to strip the floor, and so it's the science room. So I go to the chemical cabinet, and there was padlock, so we break the lock, and we start seeing what chemicals were in there. And Rick, there was one said, do not mix with such and such. And so what do? I go find such and such, right? And so I wonder, well, what this happens when you mix. And so this was a science lab that with those slate sinks, those that, you could pour chemicals in and nothing would happen. And so I poured the one in, poured the other in, and nothing happened. And I was really disappointed. So I decided to just flush them down the sink. I hit the water and boom, a flame comes up. So I thought that was cool. So we do it again and I hit water and boom. And so we do it about 4 or 5 times and I look up and it's time to go to lunch. But I have about 3 times as much as what I've been doing left in each bottle. So I thought, this might scar the sink. So I got a Folgers coffee can that we were using for paintbrushes and whatever. So I put that in there and I poured all, triple amount in there. We're going to have one last blast before we go to lunch. And I hit it with water and nothing happens. I put more water. Finally decided I had too much water in it. And plus it's lunchtime. So, we got to go eat. So I pick up the coffee can and I set it in the metal trash can on the floor and we leave. We go to lunch. We're up at Clarabelle's uptown having a burger. And I swear to God, well, this is where I do believe in God. I take one bite of my burger and I go, this isn't right. And I get in my car and I drive back to school. And when I go upstairs, flame is shooting up. It sounded like a blast furnace. I'm serious. It was shooting up. You know how every science room in the country has that big element chart, up on the wall?
Oh yeah.
It's gone. It's in flames, totally burned up. And all of this, so I go get the fire extinguisher and I hit it and it's like throwing gas on it. I mean, it just made it like a ball of fire came out of there. And I'm going, oh my God, what am I going to do? And I ran outside and Miss Liederbrand had a big cork bulletin board on her wall. I took it out and I brought it in and I smothered the fire, put it over that. So, and, put it out, I lifted it up and flames shot towards me. So I put it back down and I think that could have been bad. And all of a sudden I hear Mr. Ford yelling, is something burning? And this is when might have been, I claim it's the smartest, quickest thing I've ever done in my life to keep me out of prison. I grabbed 2 bottles of ammonia because we had them to help us strip the floor. And I smashed them on the floor right outside of it and walked out and I go, oh, what are you saying? Because the ammonia fumes were just making it hard to. He goes, what? I said, oh, you startled me. I spilled some ammonia. He goes, you burning something up there? I said, no, we were burning leaves outside and we had the windows open. He goes, okay, as he's choking on the ammonia and walks back down. So I'm thinking, oh, this could have been bad. This could have been bad. And so the boys come back from lunch and they walk in and they go, what the hell? And I go, wow. I showed them, we lift up the cork board and there's burnt totally through. So, I mean, it was just maybe a 100th of an inch left of cork, So we hung it back in. So next year when Miss Liederbrand punched one thing in it, it disintegrated. But she didn't know that. But otherwise, the other thing was we picked up the trash can and the bottom of that metal trash can was totally gone. Burnt through the coffee can, burnt through the trash can, and about this much and about this big on the floor. It was that deep, burnt down. It's because we burnt through the floor, this wood floor. So now we have a problem. Now I can replace.
Now we have a problem.
I can replace trash cans. I can, Miss Liederbrand's got to figure out why her bulletin board that's been there for 20 years all of a sudden disintegrated when she pushed one thing into it. All that chemical chart, we could say we've got paint on it and we had to throw it out. You know, things we could replace, but the hole in the floor was a problem. So we go down to Hurlin's lumber company, and we had believe it or not, we could go in and sign for stuff and charge it to the school. This is how crazy it was. We were 16 years old and we were going down the lumber company, and they just, let us charge anything. And I go up to Ben Hurlin. I don't know if you guys probably didn't get to know Ben. He was probably not around a whole lot by the time you were old enough to understand who he was. But Ben was a good old guy. And I said, Ben, I need some wood putty, because that was how I was going to fix it. And he goes, okay. And he brings out this little can of wood putty, And I go, you got anything bigger? And he goes, well, we got this, gallon size, but we only sell that to contractors. I said, we need that one. And he goes, how many nail holes you got to fill up? He goes, a bunch, Ben. You wouldn't believe how much we got. So we come back and we pour in this wood putty into this hole and then seal the floor. And it is bright orange. The rest of the floor is a beautiful wood floor, and this thing's just bright orange. And your dad is oblivious to all this. And then when he sees it, he has to go into it with us, because by now it's too late. The cover up is done. And so we bought a trash can and set it right over it and didn't say a word. But every time I would go back to the school, and Mr. Rosetto was the science teacher. Like when I was home and I'd go visit your dad and Coach Taylor when I was home from the service or whatever, and if Rosetto saw me, he would march me up and make me explain to the class why that hole. Because he says every year people want to know, why is it orange? Why is it orange? So yeah. I could have been in jail. Yeah.
Mike, Rory is in disbelief here. Like this is not the Mike Murphy that she's known all these years. She's astounded.
Roy, yeah, a student. I was not a good student. Okay, I had fun, but I was not a good student. Yeah,
Troublemaker.
This one didn't even involve your dad. When I got in trouble for throwing snowballs in class, because I got hit with snowballs in like March. And so I went home and put snowballs in the outdoor freezer that we had and brought them back in May and just peppered my friends. And they were nothing but solid ice, and they were crying. And the teacher caught me, and I got that day. Yeah.
Wow.
But I thought it was justified. What do you think?
I think so.
Yeah. Just paying them back.
People can't take a joke.
Rory. I don't think her Wi-Fi is very good. Are you there? Can you talk?
Hey,
Your volume
Rory,
is not.
just keep this in mind. I babysat Uncle Kevin. So any
That explains
problems he
so much. That
has-
explains so much.
Mom and Dad would come home and Mike would be sleeping. I'd still be up.
You're still in the trailer though, right? Yeah.
Kevin, I had that picture of you in the laundry basket when you were a baby on Facebook one day, and Mike says, I wish I had thought about that.
Yeah. That would have saved me a lot of trouble.
Probably him that did that. Mike, you touched on one thing about telling stories, and Dad would tell a story and it'd go on forever and ever and ever because he'd get sidetracked. But then he would end it with going, all right, Mike, your turn, because he knew you had a different version.
You know what though? Hey, when we were in like 6th and 7th grade, there was a group of high schoolers who would wait for us after practice and get us down and hold us. Two of them would hold us down, and the other one would have a garden hose about this big and beat our stomachs until they call them pink bellies, but we would start bleeding. And we're having practice one day, and I don't know, one of us take our shirts off, and Hilligoss, your dad sees it, and And he goes, "What's going on?" And we wouldn't say anything. We finally, we had to tell him what was going on because he probably thought parent was doing it. And we all showed him, we all had similar marks. And he found out about it. And all I know is the next day, those high school kids, the only thing they would do to us is wave and smile and didn't give us one more problem the rest of our lives.
Oh, wow.
I don't know what he did to them, but I guarantee you it was physical and it wasn't pleasant.
Well, he
Yeah.
was a disciplinarian, so he probably handed
Yeah.
out some paddles that day.
Yeah, I'm sure he did. And I'm sure his right arm was tired from hitting him on the butt with that paddle because
Wow.
I'm telling you, that quit that day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. He did not suffer bullies. He did not tolerate that at all.
No, he did not.
No, he didn't. No. And yeah. No, he had our back.
Rory, are
You
you
know,
there? Rory, I think your Wi-Fi is no good.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear
yeah,
you. Rory,
I'm right here.
you're kind of in and out, but that's fine. Do you have anything
I'm
you'd like
right
to share?
here.
Do you have? You're good. You're good. Do you have anything you'd like to share?
Um,
Anything you
it is
remember?
now all I can hear. Can you hear me?
A little bit.
Roy, turn your camera off and just try to talk.
Are you on Wi-Fi? If you're on Wi-Fi, maybe switch off the Wi-Fi to where you're on 5G. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
You're still in and out. Sometimes
Yeah.
that works, but
Erin,
Yes.
any earliest memories of Dad, like when you were a kid?
I think the earliest memory that I can remember, it's not a long story, but it's just about walking around money. He would give me, he would
Wait a
give me
minute.
cash.
We never
Yeah.
got walk around money. What is this bullshit?
He'd
Go
come
ahead.
out on a vacation. He'd come out on a vacation and we never gave the kids money, but he would say, "Hey, you got any cash on you?" No. Well, here's a couple bucks for walking around money. Everybody needs walking around money. Well, my kids ate that up.
Wow.
They'd go to the store immediately. I tell you, one of my it wasn't an early one of my earliest memories, but I can remember we were living in that house in Humboldt. I'm 8 years old now. If you can think of yourself, think of an 8-year-old kid that you know. Okay, I got a brother that's 10 years older than me. He's my hero, and he goes off to college. It broke my heart for a year. He wasn't going to be there anymore. Now Ron kind of ignored me for a long, long time. I can tell you one thing. I stabbed him in the back with a pencil.
Oh,
I was
shit.
probably about 5 years old. And I can see why he wouldn't want to have anything to do with me. He would tease us, me and Ruth. He would tease the heck out of us, and I got him back. And I got my share of trouble there. But your dad, when he left, I mean, he was Mr. Everything. He coached the little league football team. He had to go out and search for people to play. You know, he was in all the school plays, played basketball. We're talking about sixth, seventh, eighth grade. We go to the basketball games in that little tiny gym. There was a grand total of two bleacher seats on both sides. This ran the whole length of the gym. There was had a scoreboard. You talked about Mike was talking about the scoreboard. You wouldn't believe the scoreboard in this gym. It was little tiny. You had a hard time. You had to interpret it to understand what the score was. It was I can remember going over to Swihart's barn, and the big boys were playing ball. If I'm 5 years old, they're 15, but they're the big boys. They were never going to let me play in a game like that. The big guys.
Hey,
Rory can't talk on here. She's got issues, but she says every time I eat mashed potatoes, all I hear is mashed potatoes. Bump, 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 bump.
hey, Ryan, I know I've been
Yes.
monopolizing, but
No,
when Rick said a scoreboard, can I tell my scoreboard story
sure.
that I love? I'm coaching 7th grade and Bob's coaching 8th grade, and we're up at Riverton. And his 8th grade team was horrible. The only way they could win some games if I could win my game by only playing my good players 2 quarters, and then he could have the good 7th graders for 2 quarters of the 8th grade game. Well, Riverton, I needed them all 4 quarters. I couldn't spare it. We just barely won the 7th grade game. So he's in this 8th grade game with a horrible team. And Riverton's horrible too. And so the 4th quarter comes, it's tied, and we have the ball at half court with like 6 seconds to go. So he calls timeout and comes over and starts drawing up this play. And it's a play that our kids are not capable of running. I mean, it's 2 screens, back screen, double pass, almost an alley-oop dunk. I mean, it wasn't quite that bad, but that was asking these kids to do something like that. And I'm going, coach, no. And he shoved, you can imagine how excited he was, shoving me aside. And he's drawing this play up. And I'm going, no, coach. And all of a sudden we come out, and sure enough, we try to run that play. Our 2 guys run into each other. They throw it in. Riverton grabs the ball, goes down, shoots. It goes around the rims and falls out. The buzzer goes off. So we're tied overtime, right? And look up, and there's your dad walking with his hand out, getting ready to shake Mike Boyer's hand, who's the Riverton's coach. And I'm going, where are you going? He goes, we lost. I said, it's tied. It's tied. And I grab him, and he turns around, and he goes, there was one light bulb missing. And he thought it was a 6 and it was an 8. Our score was, and he goes, we're tied? He goes, yeah. He goes, why'd you let me run that play? Oh, by the way, before I forgot the best line. The best line. The last time he shoved me away, he goes, it worked in Carbondale in 1968. It worked in Carbondale in 1968. And I turn around, I'm thinking, well, it's not going to work in Riverton tonight. And so he goes, well, why'd you let me run that play? And I said, it worked in Carbondale in 1968. And he just gave me the dirtiest look. He was so mad at me. But good news is we somehow found a way to win that game in overtime. But I've told him it worked in Carbondale in 1968. I said, yeah, they probably had 2 All-Americans down there. We got guys who can't even dribble. So that's my favorite scoreboard story to tell about your dad and your brother.
Yeah, one light out could make a big difference.
World of
Yeah,
difference.
well, he thought we had 6 point, probably 16. That's probably the most they could have scored. We had 18,
Erin, you had this walking around money. I'm just stunned. My grandpa Barr would give us, and he used to give Mom and Guinea walking around money. That was Guinea still gives us walking around money from time to time. He never gave us money. Whatever we had, we earned it, or Mom gave it to us, but Dad never gave us money. The first thing I really remember about coming out there was I remember riding in the back of the station wagon we had to come out there. But the first thing I really remember clearly was when we came out there for one Christmas. We came out there, and I don't know why, other than he decided that we were coming out there for Christmas. But it was like 1980. It had to be 86 because the comet was Haley's comet was. But we came out there for Christmas, and we took the RV out into the desert, and we saw the comet, and then we went to some Costco type place, and I don't know what, but two things I remember very clearly. Uh, Joel wanted me to help him zip his coat up, and I accidentally got skin of his neck in the zipper, and he was like, "Why did you do that to me?"
Yeah.
And the second thing I remember is I bought a huge thing of juicy fruit gum, and we were staying at your house, and I went to sleep with a huge wad of juicy fruit in my mouth, and I wake up in the morning and it's a clump of gum stuck to the carpet in the living room there, and we were doing our best to hide the gum, and I don't know if Rick or your mom found it, but those are the two things I clearly remember that.
You must have found, because
I
I
don't
didn't.
even remember that. I don't
Why did
that
you do that to me? Poor kid.
I remember that.
I zipped his skin up in the zipper. Poor
I
kid.
remember that, but I don't remember the gum on the carpet. And I remember going out there because Ron was there. I remember going out to watch the comet with them. Yeah. I
Kevin,
don't
did you
remember
go
the
with
gum though.
us?
So you must not have got in too much trouble.
I
I
don't
must,
remember.
I must
Kevin,
have
did
been
you go
working
with
at,
us?
I must have been working at the store.
Yeah, I know me and Sean went. I don't remember you being there.
Yeah.
I must have been working at the restaurant. Hey, Mike, one story JR Eller told me. He said, first day of school, JR's there, and Dad says, "You go stand your nose up against the chalkboard." So JR did. And after class, he goes, "Mr. Hilligoss," he goes, "Why did you have me stand on the chalkboard with my nose up there?" And he says, "You didn't have your shirt tucked in." So the next day, JR comes to school with his shirt tucked in. And Dad says, "JR, get up on that chalkboard, put your nose up there." So JR stood up there the whole classroom. And the next day, JR said, "Why did you have me do that?" And he goes, "You didn't have a belt on."
Wait a minute. Was JR a troublemaker? That sounds like something
No,
Dad would do if he was a troublemaker.
I don't think he was a trouble.
JR pushed the envelope.
Did he?
Yeah, but JR. I tell you what, something about JR. He didn't graduate with us because he moved, but he comes to every one of our class reunions. I mean, he loves Di Vernon. He loved your dad.
He tells me a different story every time I see him. So I love running into him because he'll tell me a story I never heard before.
Yeah.
But what my point was that he said he hated Dad, just hated Dad. But now later in life, he says, I understand why he did what he did.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he like I started. He was just trying to do it to make you a better person.
Well, I've talked to Craig Bush several times and that group of players, and I think they get it. I honestly think they get it. I said he was not picking on you guys at all. He wanted you to be a better version of you.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we got it. You got to realize what the attitude of Di Vernon was when he came and how he changed it. You know, I tell people one of my sisters was cheerleader for 4 years and they won 3 games. You know, and when your dad came, he made us believers. He really did. Yeah.
Murph, you're how old?
72.
So you knew Dad when Dad came to Diverne in '65, you would have been what?
I was getting ready to go into the 7th grade. It was between my 6th and 7th. So 65, I was 12 years old. Probably 11 when your dad came.
So
Turned 12 in
you
October.
knew Dad all but 12 years of your life. I tell people this all the time that some of Dad's best friends were students of his that he had in school, and that his other best friends were people he went to high school with.
Well,
Uh,
your dad was in my wedding. Can I tell you a Cindy story about your dad?
sure.
Do we have time?
Yes.
I'm dating Cindy, and I'm a romantic guy, so I'm going to take her to a basketball game, on a date. we're gonna go watch.
Wow. And the
I'll
fact
take-
you guys have
I'll-
been married all these years, that says something about her.
Yeah, it does. It really does. But I'm going to take it. We're going to go to watch a basketball game that Al Taylor was coaching. And, Cindy and I hadn't been dating a long time, but, and I said, hey, we're going to go by and pick up a buddy of mine. And I go, okay. She goes, who? And I go, Coach Hilligoss. And her face turns white as a sheet. She goes, he's a friend of yours? And I go, yeah, he's a good friend of mine. She goes, I can't believe it. I'm scared of that guy. And I go, well, how do you know him? Well, Cindy kept stats for Pawnee Junior High basketball. And she would watch your dad, who was a raving maniac on the sidelines, screaming and hollering, pointing and spitting and everything. And she just thought he was a crazy man. And then later in life, my wife literally took care of your dad because he wouldn't know when to go to school and when not to when they were teaching together, because he'd always forget about holidays and everything else. And during every teacher's meeting, he would have to sit by Cindy so she would tell him, because he wouldn't wear his, yeah, he wouldn't. And so I think it's funny that the first time Cindy met him, actually in person, she was scared to death of him, and they became dear friends to where I don't think he got through his speech at her retirement without crying.
Well, your relationship with Dad is one that I can't describe to people. It's a wonderful story. It's a wonderful relationship, and you guys have seen it all.
Ryan, you talked about the last time somebody talks about you. Well, that's going to be a lot of years, because there's a lot of other Mike Murphys out there who had your dad, who tell stories. And my kids were blessed that when he came back to teach the second time, he had them, and they tell Mr. Hilligoss stories that are different than mine. And it's my grandkids know about Mr. Hilligoss. You know what I'm saying? It will go on for a long time. So,
Did he ever talk to you about Pete and Jenna?
about who?
His coach when he was young was a guy named Pete Jenna.
Yeah.
Yeah, he talked a little bit about him. Yeah.
The reason I bring it up, there's a guy that goes into the McDonald's every morning. And when I first saw him, I thought, could that be Pete Jenna? And it's just, of course, Pete Jenna would be 155 years old,
Yeah.
by now. But this guy looks, and he reminds me of Pete Jenna.
Rick,
You know.
Mr. Jenna was at Dad's 60th party that we
I
had
know.
there.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. They had a couple big articles in the Mattoon paper about him.
Well, he had a special relationship with him. He took me to Mr. Jenna's house one time. We went to the reunion, and we just stopped by his house one day, and we sat at their kitchen table and had a great conversation with him and Mr. Jenna. And he had the same thing. He had a special relationship
Yeah.
with some of his teachers and coaches.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, your dad and Mr. Jenna were a lot alike, in temperament, and purpose.
Does Ruth have anything she wants to contribute? Ruth,
Like what?
something good?
Well, you asked earlier about the earliest memories.
Yes.
And really, Bob went off to school, college. I was probably what,
You'd be
6.
5 or 6.
But my earliest memory of Bob is when I was 4 or 5, so he would have been like 16. We would jitterbug in the living room. We had a huge living room in Humboldt, and he and I would jitterbug. And so you have to imagine, even though I was tall for my age, I still probably only came up to his waist or so. So that had to be really uncomfortable for him. So
Wow.
You know, he
I never heard that
not
one.
uncomfortable if he's dancing. We had sock hops every Saturday, and it wasn't because of the sock hops for the kids. Him and Donna wanted to dance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He liked to dance.
Yes,
I
he
never
did.
caught on.
My favorite thing was when Travis was on the homecoming court, and we needed a convertible for him to ride in the parade. And so we talked to your dad, and he was all excited to let us use the Thunderbird for Travis and his little date to ride in. And that was one of the most fun things. And like he came out to the parade and everything. It was so much fun. And it was just like everybody just like supported Travis in that little situation where he was I don't even remember what it's called, but he's like an usher or something. I'm not sure.
No, he was on the court.
Yes, but like I don't know what they call it. It wasn't like he was homecoming king, but he was in the court, and that was just so much fun, and it was a blast. Like he was so excited about the Thunderbird, and then Alan waxed the Thunderbird. Alan's daughter Melanie made signs for the Thunderbird with their names and everything. So it was just such a fun time, and then for all of us to be out there for Travis, it was really cool.
Did Dad drive?
Alan drove.
He let Alan
I was going
drive.
to say he either drove or it had to be Alan or Rick, one of the two. He's not no regular hobo is just going to drive his car.
Right. That was a cool memory. We've got tons of great pictures. That was awesome.
Doesn't have anything to do with your dad, but during that parade, I'm standing there, I'm looking at the people around us, and there's a guy that looks real familiar. He had gone to high school. He was a classmate and a good friend of Ron's. Standing there, one of his grandkids was in the parade.
Wait, a kid that graduated from Arcola was there at the Bethalto
Yeah,
parade?
well, so was I. I graduated from Arcola.
Yeah, but there was
what am I doing
so
there?
one of his grandkids was in the
Right, one of his
Gotcha.
grandkids was in there. Yeah,
wow.
it was kind of a small world.
Well, everywhere we go, just
even this
example
morning.
of the gym. We went over to the gym this morning,
yesterday.
and I had forgotten my swipe card.
Yeah.
And so I had to spell my last name for the people. And a guy standing there at the gym was like, "Hey, are you related to Bob?" Like everywhere we go, if they know my last name, they ask if I'm related to Bob or to Kevin or to Ryan. They recognize the name. And he talked about Brown's Chicken.
Well, he was related to Brittany's husband.
Oh yeah, he knows
Mm.
Brittany. He's Brittany's husband's somebody. And so like that's how he knew us. But he was talking about the Thunderbird, asking us all about like, what's going on and stuff. So everywhere we go, if they hear my last name, they know who we are.
Ruth, share the story one more time about the four of you guys, you, Erin, Dad, and
Oh,
Grandpa driving from Phoenix to St. Louis.
Oh my God. That was a 2-day trip that took 3 weeks. And so Aaron, Dad and Bob drove the Thunderbird, of course. And Aaron and I rode in drove Dad's car. So there are several stories along this way.
Share what you want.
First of all, Ruth wanted to get walkie-talkies so we could talk to each other because, of course, this was before the cell phones. So the walkie-talkies were vetoed. We were not getting walkie-talkies. So,
which we paid for that.
yes. So we were leaving.
Wait,
Albuquerque.
who vetoed the walkie-talkies? Grandpa?
Granddad,
Yeah.
Okay,
We
because he
didn't
didn't
need
want
them.
to spend the money. We don't need
Well, I
those.
was
Okay.
going to buy it. He didn't have to spend a dime. I was going to pay for them, but he didn't think that we needed them. So we're in Albuquerque, and we stopped to shop because there are Indian shops there. So we were going to look around. And as we're leaving, your dad is in the left-hand lane and I'm in the right-hand lane. I have to turn right. And I say to them, I cannot follow you
We were
and this is rush hour.
we were parked where there was one ways. It was like downtown Albuquerque, and it's all one ways.
You either go left or you go right.
Mhm.
You know, so they were going left and we were going right. And I said, I can't follow you. And he says, oh, not a problem. Meet us at Gallup, or not Gallup,
Flying J.
Flying J in some little town at the Flying J. Okay, so when we were leaving, it is bumper to bumper traffic, and I'm looking to see if I can see him. I can't see him. You would see that tomato soup car, and we couldn't see him anywhere. So we're driving and driving, and we're driving. We hit this town that we're supposed to be meeting them at the Flying J, and every exit, there's like 3 or 4 exits, and every exit there's no Flying J, no Flying J, no Flying J. We get out of town and we run out of exits, and so it's like, well, we better turn around. So we have to go to the next exit to get off. So by this time we're 5 miles out of town. We turn around, come back, get off on the first exit for this town. Every intersection, we're looking for a Flying J, Flying J, Flying J, no Flying J. We get to the last street, and there's Dad standing at the pump, fuming,
Waving to us.
and we get out of the car, and he starts yelling. He tears me a new asshole. I mean, it's like, and it was honestly, it's like, this is not the Flying J. I don't know if you've noticed this, but this is not the Flying J. And
What gas station was it? It was like a Texaco.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
not Flying J.
yeah,
So he didn't even
So-
stop at the Flying J.
There was no Flying J.
Oh,
yeah, no Flying J.
It was just a gas station.
Town is there a Flying J? So yeah, so we get out, and it's like Dad's going, well, you're not driving together because this is your fault. And it's like, no, Dad, this is your fault because you told us the wrong place. So at that point, he decided he was going to ride with me, and Erin was going to ride with your dad. So, and this was in New Mexico. So
We were
I mean,
coming here, and we had only left Arizona, and we were still in New Mexico.
right. So
A long way to go.
we had to go from New Mexico to Missouri. And so Erin was riding with Bob, and your dad was riding with me. So, well, here before that, getting up to New Mexico, Erin and I are riding along, and it's like we're looking at them, and it was the most animated conversation you've ever seen. Hands are flying, moving. You can tell that they're laughing their heads off. And I turned to Erin and I said, you realize there are 2 different conversations going on in that car. So
what'd you say?
yeah, exactly.
What? Open up! It's the police. Who's Maurice?
So anyway, so all the way, so Erin rides with Bob. Well, it wasn't bad up until we got into Missouri, and then it starts raining. And the windshield wipers on the T-Bird aren't working correctly. And so I'm looking there, and Erin's got her arm out the window. I'm like, it's raining, Erin. What the hell are you doing? And every time the windshield wipers would go down on her side, she'd have to bump them to make them go back across. So she rode all the way.
As long as it was raining, I had my arm out the window.
She was soaking wet by the time we got to your house in Godfrey. So that was a really fun trip.
So what? You had to like manually like push the wiper up, and it would come back down.
Yeah, it would get stuck on my side. It wouldn't go back up. So every time the windshield wiper would come down, I'd have to push it back up to get it to go the other way.
Wow.
Yeah.
So she's hanging out the window.
I had water just down my arm, into my shirt, like I was drenched.
You didn't need to see.
But they were having a good conversation. We could see that too, that they were having a good conversation too. But I think that was more of they knew what each other was saying.
So Ruth, Grandpa chose you a new asshole, and then you had to ride with him in the car for X amount of miles. That
Right.
had to be a fun ride.
Yeah, well, we didn't talk for quite a while on that. It's just like, he was so mad, and it was like, Dad would never admit that it was his fault.
And Bob was just laughing. He was just laughing. He knew that wasn't the Flying J. He knew they told us wrong, so he just thought that was hilarious.
He could have helped out and said, "Hey, Dad, this wasn't a Flying J." No,
Nope.
he's not going to get involved in that.
It all could have been solved if Dad would have let me
Yeah,
use the walkie-talkies.
walkie-talkie, and you were going to pay for him. Like, what did he care? What did he care?
Right, exactly. Well, and we stopped. Was it the first night we stopped? We stopped at some hotel and
I wore my flip-flops. Let's just say that. I would
Oh,
not
boy.
walk on the carpet.
yeah, Dad just had a knack for picking out the nastiest hotel that he could find. And honestly, as expensive as that hotel was, we could have stayed at a nicer, smaller, cleaner place. But Erin and I were like, oh my God. So we hauled in our own pillows, and we're laying there on our own blankets on these beds. I know we didn't get an ounce a second of sleep that night, but I'm sure Dad did. But oh my God, and you couldn't shower in the shower. It was too disgusting. So
Well, it must be genetic, Ruth, because one time Dad and I went down to Archer City. We went to Dallas, and then we were going to go to Little Rock because he wanted to go by the high school where the desegregation happened. And then we went to Clinton's library. Well, we're between Dallas and Little Rock, and we're driving, and he's like, "Oh no, let's not stop here. Keep going. One more exit. One more exit. One more exit." Well, we get to Texarkana, and we're out of options. Like, we have to stop. It's like 11
Right.
o'clock at night. It's like we need to stop. There was tons of hotels in Texarkana. He chooses this flea bag, rent by the hour place, and it was so disgusting. There was a plate glass window in the lobby, and it was like $40. We go in the room, and like I kind of laid down on the bed, but it just felt like there was bed bugs climbing on me, even though there wasn't. It was so bad, it was unreal. I could have shot him that day.
yeah, that's how we felt.
Good times.
Good times, good times.
Did I catch a niner in there? What were you using? A walkie-talkie?
Dad had that gremlin, and leaving Rochester one day, the back seat broke. So for some reason, we had a broom in the back seat. So we wedged that broomstick in between the back seat and your back seat. And I sat in the back seat, actually leaning against him so he could stand up and still drive. That went on for like about a week.
Oh Lord.
I was the back.
Kevin, get in the back.
I was the back seat support.
I can't believe when you guys drove that gremlin out to Arizona. There were five of you. There were five of you in that car.
Yep.
Luckily, one of you was real little.
Ryan was just born, and he sat in between Sean and I. So
That's a long drive.
Be a long drive.
he hated that car.
Maybe he was hoping that it would break down along the way.
Well, he got home, and Mom said that he had been having so many problems with that Mustang. He loved that Mustang. He goes, "Where's my car?" Well, I traded it in on this gremlin. So she felt so bad that she got rid of that car, that she called that used car dealer, and that car was gone.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
Somebody snagged it.
Oh yeah.
Rory, I know you can't talk much, but this book, Dad came up here. This is like 12, 13 years ago. So you were like 5. He came up here and he gave us this. It was on his birthday. He spent the day with us here. We went out, and I just found this note, amazingly enough. This note says, "Had a great time. Thanks. Love you, Dad, Grandpa." So just so you know, you had a good day with Grandpa.
Mike, you were talking about commercials and how you can get emotional It's the background music. I finally decided if you turn the sound off, you're okay. But the background
Okay,
music is what gets to you.
I try that.
It works for me.
Mike, is Cindy there? Does she have anything she'd like to share with us?
She's just got back, believe it or not, from a bike ride.
Bike ride? What's your weather like down there?
She's tough.
She is
She
tough. Wow.
she bought a new bike and she's ridden it almost every day that she's had it.
Wow.
She rides it in our neighborhood. She gets 6 miles in riding around our neighborhood twice.
Wow.
I know she
Yeah.
rides. I mean, she doesn't ride as much as you do, but does she ride with you from time to time when you go out?
At times, very, very seldom, but yeah, we have a place actually down in Madison County we like to go down to. We do that 4 or 5 times a year, and then a few times on weekends she rides with me. She doesn't
Where
ever
do you
ride
go in
after
Madison?
work.
You go to Edwardsville where the trails are?
Yeah, we start there in Collinsville. We do use that in Madison County. End up going through Glen Carbon and then Maryville and back around. We get off and eat at the halfway. It's a 28-mile loop, and we about the 16-mile mark. We're by a bunch of restaurants. We stop and eat.
Waffle
Where do
House,
you
isn't
go?
it? Waffle House.
It goes on the
You go to
No,
eat at Waffle House?
no, the 16. What on the trail? If we go on the trail, chicken salad chicks on the trail. Moe's Southwesterns on the trail. If we get off the trail, we can go to. They just a high point is there early on, and then 54th Street Bar and Grill, and then a bunch of restaurants are over there. And that's
they're
strip
adding more
mall.
restaurants in there right now. They
Yeah,
got a Panda Express, and they've
there
got
used to be right on the trail where Chicken Salad Chick is. There used to be a barbecue place we like, but they closed it and opened up a new place that we haven't tried. It's kind of a little bit more foo-foo, you know. So we either go to Chicken Salad Chick or Moe's because it's literally on the trail. I mean,
yeah, it's right there.
yeah, they
Yeah.
built that new strip center right there on the
Rick,
trail.
keep your
So,
eyes
yeah.
peeled. Someday you're riding, you might pass Mike and Cindy.
I was going to say, well, doubtful because he likes to ride 28, 29, 30 miles. If I could make 10 miles, I'm lucky.
You know what? That's all it takes. It takes, start off and you can do rag ride because I tell people it's a 500-mile ride, but it's really 50 10-mile rides because we stop in a town about every 10 miles. So
Mike, I was just telling your story the other day about Lance Armstrong being on the trail that day, and oh, I'm going to show him. You're doing 20 miles an hour, as Lance just pew flies by you.
that's when I learned that why I do rag ride, he does the Tour de France. Yeah, I'm going as hard as I can. He goes by me in a group and waving with one hand. Have a good day. He shoots by me. My heart's about ready to explode out of my chest. And he's telling us to have a good day with one hand on his handlebars. Yeah.
Mike,
Alan
do
said
you think
it's the steroids.
it's the
A Bob
steroids?
story. Can I tell a biking Bob story?
I was going to ask you about his time. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Uh, now this is kind of starts off a little sad. I'm sorry, but at your mom's wake, I left there and I was convinced your dad was going to crawl up in a corner and just give up. I was, I that's the only day in my life I can say I was concerned about your dad. I really, I was, the day he died, I wasn't concerned because when I got the call in the 5 o'clock in the morning when I was at the airport from Ryan, I thought Ryan butt dialed me. That's the only reason he'd be calling me now. And so, I had no concerns about your dad except that day. And on the way home, I called Rod Monar and I said, hey, me and you do Ragbri and let's rent a van and have Coach Hilligoss be our support driver because I'm really worried about him. We got to give him something to look forward to. And that was my whole purpose. It was just I knew your dad would say yes, and I wanted him to have something to look forward to 6, 7 months down the road. Well, anyway, we go down and we do this, and it turned out to be 5 of us who go down, not just the 3 of us. and we have an unbelievable time. I can tell you all kinds of stories, but the one I want to tell you about why I think of your dad every time I ride now is it was the Friday night. The ride ends on Saturday. This is 7 days ride. So we've been together 6 days, and I'm talking to Rod. I'm not even talking to your dad about the next day. And I'm saying, be prepared. There's going to be a couple really killer hills as we, like your dad, there's no hills. You're in the floodplain. It's going to be flat. It's going to be flat. And I start off nice. I really do. And I say, no, we're going to have some serious quiet. Oh, no, you're going to be along the river. It's going to be flat as a pancake the whole way. And I tried to tell him one more time. And the third time, I guess I lost it because I scream out, hey, dumb, and it starts with an F. I mean, scream it out to the point Ron Monar's looking around because he claims that anybody within a mile heard me yell at him. I say, what would it be like if we finished in Alton and we had to go to, to the restaurant at Alton? What would we have to do? Oh, you climb up some big hills. I said, no shit. That's what we're going to do tomorrow. We got to come out of the floodplain to get into whatever town it was. Well, the next day, I'm riding, and there are two hills that I was telling Rod about because I seen the map. They were killer. I mean, it was, you could probably walk faster than I could ride up them. As I'm pumping up, every pedal I took, I repeated that mantra, dumb F Bob. And so that got me to the top of the hill. And when I got there, your dad was waiting. He goes, oh, there was some hills. And I go, no lie. Well, to this day, I've done this in Iowa. I've done it in Maine. I've done it in Wisconsin. Whenever I'm going up a hill that's just killing me, I repeat that mantra to myself to get me up to the top of it.
Yeah.
So your dad's with me every time I have a tough bike ride. I'm serious. He really, really is.
Mike,
and I
I think
laugh
about
when I get up to the top.
I think about that every time I drive to Ames to see Graham because I'm going on 80. I'm going up and down the hills, and I'm thinking, "Yep, dumb Bob."
We had the best of time that week. Oh, by the way, I was kind of like your dad recently. I'm down, but I was right. In your story about your dad was wrong. We're out. We're we're in Iowa at John Wayne's museum, and your dad's trying to tell the curator, who's being a nice guy and walking with us, the curator of the museum, your dad's trying to tell him John Wayne stories. The guy goes, no, yeah, I know that. And your dad was really frustrated because he didn't know anything this guy did. And I said, Bob, this guy's life. It's his living. He gets paid. Actually, and your dad was just so disappointed that he left there that day without telling him something about John Wayne that guy didn't know.
You always had to know something that everybody else didn't.
Yeah, yeah.
Mike, do you remember John Wayne's real name?
Marion
Morrison.
something.
Marion
Morrison.
Morrison. Yep, Marion Morrison.
There's by the way, if you're I keep wanting to say Mount Vernon, but that's not right. Whatever town it is, and I get my towns in Iowa mixed up. When you go across Iowa 13 times like I did in small towns, you get them confused. But if you're ever in the town where he grew up, go to that museum. It's really, they did a good job.
He had that is in no, is it in Winterset?
Winterset, yeah.
Winterset.
Hey, Ruth, I know you're not on the screen, but if you're there, still there, I want you to know Bobby Hogan, who had to ride with Bob all 7 days of Ragbri, loves to tell the story that this Ragbri is one of the most organized things you'd ever want to do. The 30,000 riders, they have the route, and then all the support vehicles, they have a designated route that you have to take. It's very, very organized. Well, every day your dad would tell Bob, it'd be quicker if we go, if we be quicker if we turn left, it'd be quicker if we turn right. And Bob Hogan would say, no, this is the route we have to go. We have, we're designated on this route. Oh yeah, but you turn here, we beat him. Well, Bobby said about the fourth day, he finally had enough of Bob telling him how to go. And so Bob says, turn right here. And so Bob turned right. He goes, we didn't get 50 feet till the police came. We were on the trail with the bikes. They're coming screaming at us to get off the trail. And he turns over to Hilligoss. He goes, see? He goes, oh, yeah, maybe you're right. But
Be out there with the bikes flying around
I
you.
tell people, I don't care. I've done RAGBRAI 13 times. I can do it 130 times. And that will be my favorite one ever. And I can't tell you one thing about the towns really. I mean, it wasn't the towns that stuck out. It was being able to go with your dad. I mean, he so stubborn, so stubborn. When I go, I always get a shower in these nice shower trucks. And because they're, the semis follow us and they have hot water on demand water heaters. Your dad insisted on us camping one night at this place where I literally took a shower in a cattle bin.
Oh
I
my
mean,
God.
had tarp up, and the hot water was honest to God, a black water tank outside in the sun, heating up the water, coming through a rubber hose that you put on yourself. I paid $8 for that. I paid $6 for my shower trucks. I paid $8 this because he wanted to camp at the fairgrounds or some stupid thing. And we're out there. I mean, oh yeah. Yeah, this is what really bad. And when I was complaining about him, like a year later, he goes, "Yeah, they were so bad. I didn't shower. I just waited until the next day." But I'm out there riding. He's out there riding in the RV. They
Air
were so
conditioned
bad, he wouldn't
RV.
shower. Yeah, yeah. He goes, I looked at them and said, "Oh no, I'm not showering there." But anyway, that will be my favorite one ever.
Erin, is Alan there?
Yeah, he's here.
I want to know if Alan remembers the first time he met Dad.
He doesn't remember the first time he met him, but he's got lots of trivia stories. He really made him mad one day.
Dad made Alan mad?
No,
Oh,
Alan made your dad mad
oh, well, that was
at
easy to
trivia.
do.
Yeah.
Trivia, Dad did not mess around. Trivia was the
No.
thing. That was his potpourri. That's our best category.
Potpourri, that was our best subject.
It was about the category was about bad presidents. And so every guess, it was like dumbest quotes or something like that. Like you had to guess which president said the quote.
Okay.
And so our guesses was George W. about, I don't know, for like 8 of the 10 probably. And your dad was getting so mad. And so then Alan was just saying stuff like, because your dad was getting mad. So he thought it was funny. And yeah, so I remember that very distinctly. That was kind of early on. We weren't married at that point for sure. But lots of we used to play trivia all the time, and they are very serious about it. There's no
we need
messing
to
around.
talk about we need to talk about this. Let's not be so
Yeah,
fast.
Rick-
Let's talk about this.
Rick,
My dad takes notes
and
and everything.
Rick, were you on the team the night your dad swore that Ann Arbor was the capital of Michigan?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, and we're telling Lansing. Oh no, it's Ann Arbor. I'm going, this is my damn geography teacher. He was my civics teacher. And he was swearing, wasn't he? Wasn't he, Rick? What about the time? One time he fell asleep during it and woke up and splurted out some name that wasn't even part. It was like 2 questions earlier. He must have gone to sleep thinking about it.
Murph,
I love playing trivia with him.
My favorite part of the Lansing Ann Arbor thing is the next week he was working at Quick and Easy, and somebody came in wearing a shirt that says Ann Arbor is a whore, and it had something to do with the Michigan State, and he loved that. He cracked up the minute he saw that shirt. Yeah, I tell that all the time. He was for a guy that was a geography teacher for 30 years. He was insistent that Ann Arbor was the capital of Michigan.
Yeah, I was so disappointed in him.
Yeah,
Had it been the capital at one point? I don't even know.
No.
no, he just had it in
Oh.
his head. Once he got on to something that
Oh
was it.
yeah, he would argue. Yeah.
Mr. Moneybags, and he always had to sit next to Cindy because Cindy was the recorder for the
She was
team,
the
so he'd
recorder.
sit next to Cindy.
Well, we insisted that because if he didn't know the answer, he would shout it out, and so 8 tables would know it. So we made him sit by Cindy, so he could whisper in her ear. That way, only 2 tables heard it.
Yeah, if I play, I'm the recorder as well. So my dad sits on one side of me and Bob sat on the other side of me so that they could just
So we-
yell,
so we could hear.
whisper yell to me.
So we could hear.
Oh man. I miss trivia. I really do. We used to have a lot of fun. We used to have a really good team. Rick would come up a lot and you guys would come up. We were pretty good, weren't we, Rick?
Yes, we were.
Probably our favorite, yeah, the Pope. I don't know where we were playing that night, but the kind of the final, we were a couple points behind. Round
we're
10 was
good.
potpourri. Oh, that's our best category. What are you talking about?
And it always was.
The best night
is
we
the
ever
hub,
had, the best night we ever
hodgepodge of
had
everything.
was we played at the Crown Plaza, and it was a fundraiser for one of the teachers' husbands had
Oh,
Lou
yeah.
Gehrig's.
ALS.
But it was like 100
ALS.
plus tables, and we won
Yeah.
that night. That was
Yeah.
like we were pretty good that night.
Yeah, that was yeah, that was a good one. That was one of the teacher's husband. He worked at Horace Mann, I believe.
Yeah, but first place out of 100 and some tables, I'd say
Yeah.
that's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was good for geography. Well, the bad thing was towards the end there, and COVID killed it. Like I think we've played what, twice since COVID happened,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
once.
Yeah.
The thing he used to get pissed because, oh, these aren't categories, especially if they played music. Music of the 80s. Oh my God, they need to be playing stuff from the 50s. He'd
Yeah.
get really mad because the categories weren't what he was wanting them to do anymore.
Well, I do remember all the nights I played trivia, I've only known one music question. And I couldn't believe I knew it. And since I didn't never know any songs, I don't know any artists, no one on the table trusted me because they didn't know it either. They wanted to use a mulligan. And I insisted, no, I am right. And I told them if I was wrong, I would strip down naked and run around the room twice. And you probably were there that night, Rick. I don't know.
I think so.
But it was the movie was Almost Famous. And they were
Almost Famous.
and I just seen it. And I remember that whatever song it was, I can't even remember there, but that was the song from Almost Famous. And no one else had seen the movie. And so they trusted me. And when it was done, there was a scene in there where the guy stands on the roof before he jumps in the swimming pool. I'm a king of the universe. I
I'm a
jumped up on
golden
the
god.
table.
I'm a golden god.
I'm a golden god. Yeah, I'm a golden god. I jumped up on the table and said that. And obviously, no one else in the room had seen the movie either because they all looked at me like, "What's this guy
doing?"
Yeah.
Tiny Dancer, maybe Tiny Dancer may have been the
Yeah,
question.
I think it was. And no one knew it but me. And since I never knew any music, they doubted mine. I was right.
Well, going through Dad's T-shirts, there's a shirt on the front that says Team Hilligoss, and on the back it says Mike Murphy is a trivia god.
Yeah.
I had those made for us.
Oh,
Yeah, you guys walked in. You guys walked in wearing Team Hilligoss. I said, "Oh, this is cool." And then you turn around. You know what was terrible about that? That was a big contest, and the MC of it was a radio guy in Springfield, and he had me on about a month later and wanted to talk to me about trivia. Like, and I go, I'm not. He goes, well, I figured you must be really good. Your whole team said you're a trivia guy. And I go, no. They were making fun of me. I still got that T-shirt, by the way.
That was Sam Verdonia.
Yes, Sam Madonia.
San Madonia. Yeah, Dad talked about
Yeah.
that all the time.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
talked about him all the time.
So he was asking me about my trivia expertise.
Yeah, those were fun.
Yeah.
Of course, 20 years have gone by and all the music's changed. Makes trivia harder, for older people.
I don't think
I
they're
only
even
play
doing
one
them
trivia
anymore.
contest. I play one trivia contest a year, and a friend of mine always buys a table for the sports trivia, and it is just so hard. You would think, but yeah, I'm terrible at it.
Well, it is hard. There's just too many facts.
Yeah.
Bob would get real frustrated because he couldn't come up with a name real quick. He says, I used to know all this stuff. And I said,
Yeah.
you know what? As we get older, we have a lot more to remember. A kid that's 15 years old, what the hell does he have to remember?
Yeah.
Show up in class. That's it. We have a lot more to remember.
I know. I was trying to think the other day who won the Super Bowl last year, and I couldn't think of it. Back in the day, I could have told you the
There-
score and what part of the game that the tide was turned.
I think our brains only have so much capacity, and we're maxing it out, especially now. We got info 24/7 at our fingertips.
Yeah. Overload.
Overloaded.
Yep.
All right. Well, anybody
Yeah.
else have anything else they would like to share today?
Well, I want to ask you, and Kevin and Mike. I got an invitation for the 14th for the Divernon reunion. Anybody else going? I'm going to go.
I can't go that
Yeah.
day, or otherwise I would.
You're going to
I will
go?
be there.
I'll be there.
All right, great.
Sure, Mike. I go to one, and
Yeah.
Mike's not there, and then every time that he's there, I can't go. So that he's doing
Well,
this
you know
on
what
purpose.
what I've decided to do now is I take the afternoon off. Once I find out what day it's going to be on, I put it on my calendar and I take a half day off.
It's a
Just
good
because
day.
I don't want to have to miss them and leave early or what like that. So I just take the half day off. So I will be there.
Mike,
It's great.
Mike, that speaks volumes to you with your job. I'm sure you're a busy guy, but you take the time out to go to those reunions, once a quarter, and
Well,
that just speaks
Yeah,
volumes.
quarter.
yeah, well, unfortunately, if you don't go to them, you don't know what you're going to miss because it might be the last time you get to talk to somebody. And plus, right, Kevin, I don't know if you noticed this. I like telling stories.
No.
What?
What you? No.
I got a bad connection. What did you just say?
Wait,
So,
Mike,
yeah, that's my-
Mike, do your kids look at you like Rory and Graham did at Dad? Oh my God, here he goes again. He's telling another story.
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. They truly do. And Cindy does too. Cindy just walks into the other room, she goes,
I've heard this. This will be the 1,000th time I've heard this story.
Yeah, I just want to make sure she's around to keep me consistent because I don't mind embellishing. I just want to embellish it the same way all the time.
Well, my other favorite story of you, Mike, and Dad is your quarterbacking, and I guess he thought you understood a play to be run,
Well,
and he smashes the clipboard over your head.
no, you got two different stories here. One, we're the smashing clipboards in practice. We're up there practicing a play, and I turn around to hand off, and Dave Boris isn't there, whatever, and blah blah blah. He comes up and he goes, "Ah, gosh," and he hits me with the clipboard. Right. And I go, "Hey, 34B." And I turn the right way. He goes, he goes, "Oh, you're right." He didn't apologize for hitting me over the head with the clipboard and breaking the clipboard. Never apologized. He goes, all he said was, "Oh yeah, you're right." But the play that he thought I should know, we're against Waverly. It's 4th and 100. I mean, I swear to God, it's probably 4th and 20. And so I'm jogging off the field because we're going to punt, right? You know, what else you do at 4th and 20? And he is off the sideline, spitting, screaming at me, get your butt back out there. And you know what? I want you to run. You know what? I want you to run. It's almost like that Riverton day when I'm turn around and I go, yeah, you want me to punt, and I'm not our punter. You know, but so as I'm running back, I'm thinking, what does he want me to run? And so I don't know, but we each week we would practice one new play, one crazy play. And we had trouble with screening because we couldn't screen right or screen left. So we just decided to screen the whole line. So, you know, most people screen right, screen. We let the whole line come charging through. So and we called it screen up the middle. So I ran screen up the middle. Right before I get hit, I'm able to just lob it over all their hands as they crush me. You know, Bobby Day or David Boris, I can't remember which one, catches it and runs like 60 yards for a touchdown. And I run off the field. I go, is that what you want me to run? He goes, yeah. And I'm to this day, I don't know if that's what he wanted me to run or not. He wasn't going to say no after we got a touchdown. But yeah, you know what I want you to run? I had no idea. But your dad in the 7 games, because we only played 7 games, he had such trust in me, and I didn't realize at the time. He never called the play. One time he sent somebody in and he said, Coach says to pass. He didn't tell me what pass to play to run. He just wanted me to pass because I hadn't passed yet. That was our very first game because I was scared to pass because, you know, it's easier to run, give it to the halfback. So I ran my very first pass play, and as I release it, I get smashed. My helmet comes flying off. I I'm laying on the ground, and my mom was our photographer because she agreed she would let us look at the film, but she kept it. She bought all the film. It was her camera. So she was our photographer because she let us use it, you know, watch it one time. But she's standing up, zooming in on me, you know, because I'm her son. And I stand up and I look and somebody's running towards me with the ball. And I'm going, oh, that's not good. So my first play that your dad made me run was didn't turn out very well.
That's great.
Rory,
Not
I'd
that
say
the end result was great.
Rory, I'd ask
You
you
know
to
what?
say something, but I
When
can't.
we ended up, we were 4-2-1 for a team that starts from scratch. That's pretty amazing, I think.
It is. It is. How many years did you guys have football?
You know, we were the very first class, and I think they had it for about another 10, 12 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
Well, you
had
know,
no
2
idea.
years after us, they went undefeated. We had some, Rick, you know, we had some pretty good athletes around us. You know, that the really good basketball team of 76. I graduated in 71. 76, they were 24-3 in basketball. You know, I mean, we had some good class. You know, I had the Hogan, Adcock, Day, and Boris. They were all great athletes. You know, they could do amazing things. And so, yeah, but your dad made us believers. Or your
Murph, I've
brother.
shared this story as many times as possible in random places, so people have no idea what I'm talking about. But it's a testament to him, just to your point. Uh, Fishburne, again, for those of you watching later at some point in time, Curtis Fishburne was one of Dad's students, athletes, one of Dad's closest friends till the day he died. Uh, this was done out of love. Curtis Fishburne was what, 7th grade, 8th grade? I don't know, whatever it was.
Yeah,
I think it was in seventh,
seventh
if
grade.
I remember right.
They had a game.
He might have even been a 6th grader playing on the 7th grade team.
They had a game. They go to the locker room. Everybody changes. They leave. Curtis Fishburne leaves his trunks on the bench. Dad picks up the trunks. Next day at practice, Did you guys wear your? No, you wouldn't have worn your stuff at practice, right?
No, it was the next game.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
his
it's
next
just
game.
so the next game, Curtis comes in, Coach, I don't have my trunks. I don't know what to tell you, Kurt. Sorry, buddy. We don't have any extras. You're just gonna have to wear what you got.
Go out in your jock strap. That's what he told him.
So for anybody watching this, Dad would have been charged with child endangerment and gone to jail for this. Dad says, Kurt, I don't know what to tell you, buddy. We don't have any extras. You're gonna have to wear your jock strap out there. We don't have anything else for you to wear. And poor Curtis, to his absolute terror, was sitting on the bench in his jock strap and his jersey
In the
and his
locker room.
shoes in the locker room, ready to
Ready
go.
to go out.
And Dad had told his mom and Dad what was going on, so they knew, and they were totally on board with it. So he had parental agreement. Poor Curtis was ready to go out there, sweating to death, and at the last second, Dad threw him his trunks and said, "Don't you ever forget your trunks again."
Well, you guys all know this, but the testament to your dad is how many of his players from 50, 60 years ago still tell stories in loving fashion about him. I mean, he was important to all of us.
He made Mike run behind the bus.
Oh, this is your brother Sean's fault here.
Wow.
We're going
That's not even
to a
fair.
track meet my senior
Sean wasn't
year.
even invited. Sean wasn't invited.
Yeah, he didn't even know about it.
Yeah.
Nobody told him.
Well, we're going to a track meet to Waverly, and I'm sitting in the very back of the bus, and Bob's driving because Diver didn't have any money, so he was a coach and bus driver both. And I'm a senior, and I think I was the only senior left on the track team. And I'm in the back, and I yell out, "Hey!" And Donna's pregnant with Sean. Okay, I said, "Hey, coach, is that baby your wife's getting ready to have? Is it going to be fat and ugly like you, or small and good looking like your wife?" And he stops the bus on the country road, stops the bus and comes flying down, grabs me, opens the back door, and throws me out the back door of the bus because I can hear the beep, beep, beep of when the back door, the alarm goes off, beep, beep, beep. He slams it, runs up front, and starts driving away. So I'd be running, and he'd slow up enough for me to catch up, and then he'd speed up, and I'd be running some more. I finally decided, forget it. Somebody from Divern would be coming along and give me a ride. And so I just start walking, and he finally stopped and let me on the bus. And as I'm walking back, I can remember to this day, these freshman eyes, they're this big going, is that Murphy guy crazy or what?
You
They didn't know
you
the
beat him back to
relationship.
town, didn't you?
Huh?
Didn't you beat him back to town?
Oh no, that's a different one. That's another
Oh.
story.
That's a different story.
Yeah, this story is he takes us all out to Jack Smith's house, and it had just been raining. I mean, tons of rain. And he drops us off at Smith's house, and he yells, "Last one back has to, do some, last whatever, however many kids back to the gym has to do something crazy." And so all these kids start running, and they start running through this field, and it's just full of mud, and their mud's coming up. I'm watching them run, and I go, they're all gone. And I go, "Hey, coach, can I have a ride back?" He goes, "Sure, jump in." And so he gave me a ride back as we're going by. I'm waving to my teammates. He said, "Get back however you can." I said, "Can I have a ride back?"
You were smart. You're working smart, not harder.
Oh, he used to give us the last question on almost every one of his tests was, "Do you think it will rain?" And we not only had to answer it yes or no, we had to give a reason why, yes or no. And you could answer either way as long as you gave a reason, Because
Wow.
I wrote one time down, no, and we're all going to be dead in 6 months. And you had to give an answer.
If it never rains again, we wouldn't last very long.
Yeah.
Rick, anything else you want to share?
No, you've asked all the good questions.
Well, there will be a quiz at the end of this, so make sure you get
Okay.
your
Spelling
ruler.
count.
Well,
Yeah, your slide ruler out.
hey, thanks so much for letting me butt in on this family event because you guys
You're
are an
just one
important
of
part
us,
of my
Mike.
life.
Well, I
Huh?
don't know. Rick and Erin, I don't know if you know this, but I didn't know this. I guess Kevin did. Mike and Cindy were our godparents. So if something had happened to mom and dad, we would have been living in the Murphy household.
Wow.
Yeah, they were our surrogates in case we needed a home, we'd be living with the Murphys.
Wasn't Kevin's though. He saw me babysit Kevin.
They were dad's godparents. They took him in.
Oh,
Erin,
well,
anything else?
Not that I can think of right now, but random things come to me. So
Okay, this is what you do. Between now and next January the 3rd, any good memories, you write them down. And
okay, I
then
will
next year you can just like be like, oh yeah, this.
get my highlighter out.
Yep. And Rory, next time you're going to be on Wi-Fi to where you can actually speak. Poor Rory's been sitting here the whole time listening to us talk for 2 hours, can't say a word. Ruth,
Where's
anything
Graham
else?
today?
hey, Roy, that's no different than being with your grandpa.
That's true. That's true. Rory, you just had the Grandpa Bob treatment. You listened to somebody else talk for 2 hours. Ruth,
Yep.
anything else?
No, I'm good.
Mike, one of the reasons Ruth is not on screen is she had rotator cuff surgery.
Oh,
We
shoot.
we
Get
don't know
well
why it
soon.
we don't know why it happened other than the fact she fell off of a scaffolding at 10 feet up in the air.
I didn't fall off of it. The ladder moved.
Oh, now it's the ladder's fault. Now we
Yes.
find
Well,
out.
I was hoping she had rotator cuff surgery because she's going to pitch for the Cardinals next year.
She couldn't do any
Yeah,
worse than
pitch
some of
for
the
the
pictures they
Cardinals.
got. Ruth, will you be able to play the violin when you're healed?
Gosh, I hope so. I've never been able to play it before.
Ha ha. Bump.
Tommy John, who started rotor stuff surgery, was in Charlie Parker's one day.
Really?
Mike's had some
Yeah.
people. Kevin, I don't know how this came up. But you know what? I was watching an old Curb Your Enthusiasm, and there was a guy in there, and he looked just like Farley and talked like, and I'm like, what is going on? Well, it turns out Chris had a brother that I didn't know. I didn't
He
know.
was in Charlie Parker's too.
I met him in
Mike's had
Phoenix.
I don't remember his first name, but this
I want
Farley
to say it's
brother,
Kevin. I want to
Kevin,
say it's
that's right.
Kevin Parker.
But he was at Charlie Parker's.
I met him
He
in
was really-
Phoenix.
You met Kevin Farley in Phoenix?
Yeah.
Why?
He was in a bar I was in.
Wow. What? Wait. Time out. Time out. What did you just say? You were in a
What?
bar?
Well, yeah, I was young.
Okay.
I was probably 30.
Okay.
Yeah, we went out after work one night and he was in a bar that we were in.
Interesting.
Well, I also physically ran into Anthony Hopkins once.
Ooh,
Ooh.
now when you say you ran into him, is this some kind of euphemism?
Oh,
No, I physically ran into him. I was coming around a corner in the underground in London and he was coming the other way
Yeah.
and we smacked into each other. He looked at me and turned around and went the opposite direction because my mouth was open. I was going,
Uh,
say hello,
Oh.
Ruth. Hello, Ruth.
I don't blame him for turning around. Oh.
Mike's had quite a few celebrities in Charlie Parker's. My favorite one is the one involving Mike. Can you tell him about Mr. T?
Mr. T.
Oh my.
Yeah, the whole yeah, Mr. T.
You sure you got time?
Yes.
Okay. Uh, we're just a regular day, and all of a sudden, a group of about 8 come in, and one of them looks just like Mr. T. And I'm going, well, that's strange. They sit down, and it's obvious it is Mr. T. And we were fairly busy, but not slammed. We probably had about maybe half seats full. And they get their food, they eat, and I was so proud of our customers. They just let Mr. T alone. Finally, a kid comes over and he goes, "Can I have your picture?" And so they start taking a picture, and then the floodgates open. Everyone starts going, and Mr. T, he didn't have his jewelry, and I found out that day he only will wear his jewelry for performances now. Ever since Katrina, the hurricane, he quit.
Katrina.
Yeah, he
Katrina.
sold all of his jewelry, donated to that. Now he just wears costume jewelry. But anyway, so everything's going. And my son was a firefighter out in DC at the time, and I knew he was off. So I walk outside and I call up my son and said, "Bobby, you won't believe who's in here." And I said, "Mr. T," and I'm finishing the conversation as I'm walking in, and Mr. T's sitting at the counter talking to my wife. And I said, "Hold on, Bobby." And I said, "Hey, Mr. T, would you take a minute and talk to my son? Let's just say hello." He grabs the phone from me, and he knew, I told him my son it was Bobby, and he knew all about it. He goes, "Bobby, I want you to know, firefighters are my hero. My uncle was a firefighter, and he helped raise me." And he goes on. He talks to my son for 5 minutes. I couldn't believe it. But then at the very end, everyone got their picture with him that they wanted to. And this lady walks up, and she had to be in her 80s. She comes up to him and she goes, "Can I have your picture?" And he goes, "Sure." And so I grabbed her phone, and start taking it. And she goes to him because, "I have no idea who you are, but everybody's making such a big fuss over you. I thought I better get my picture and show it to my kids."
Oh,
And,
no.
most celebrities might be taken back and, whatever. He gave her the biggest hug and kiss on the top of her head you'd ever want to see. He just thought that was great. So, and I will say this forever: as all my favorite celebrities who came through, Mr. T was by far the best. He just embraced it. He really did. Yeah.
Why was he there?
Oh, he was there because his first roommate in Los Angeles daughter was getting married in Pittsfield, and he was the officiating the wedding. He had a uh, license from the internet to
He was
perform
ordained.
weddings, I
He was
guess.
ordained, so he was the
He
minister
was
that day.
ordained, and he did his son's wedding one time, and his daughter said she want Mr. T, so he came down there, and they were staying in Springfield, but the wedding was in Pittsfield.
Lauren, I looked it up. Lawrence Turad. I don't know how you pronounce his last name. Tureaud. Lawrence Turad. Turad. Born in Chicago. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Murph, Murph had a lot of celebrities there. Who was your least favorite? If I remember right.
the guy who played on Full House, he was the
Oh,
uncle.
but not Bob Saget. The
The
Bob Coulier.
uncle,
Bob Coulier.
uncle. Yeah, he was the only
Dave
jerk.
Coulier. Dave Coulier.
Dave Kuya, he was the only jerk, and I get it, but he he went out of his way to be. There were some who were just there to. They didn't come there to entertain, and I got that, and I didn't expect them to entertain or anything, but and some were just there, but they were pleasant. Well, he wasn't pleasant to people, and but yeah,
How
he was the only
how
one.
how
The
dare you
guy
talk to
who,
me?
yeah, the guy from um, what you talking about, Willis? Todd Bridges.
Todd Bridges.
He was probably my second favorite. We were slammed. We were busy as can be, and the only seat was available was at the counter right next to the cash register. So every person who came up, I mean, I'm checking people out. So I heard it. Everyone came up. What you talking about, Wills? What you talking about, Wills? And he acted like it was the first time he ever heard somebody say that. Every time, just laugh and put his arm around them. He was so nice to them. Yeah, he really was.
Well, he was there,
That's
like
great.
he had done a show at the comedy club
Yeah, he
that
did a
day or
comedy club.
something.
Yeah, no, he did it later on that they came in on Fridays after they went around the radio places, all the comedians. And we went to the show that Friday night. And he starts his show by saying, "Okay, I know you guys all want to say it. We all say it one time together." And everyone said, "What you talking about, Willis?" He
Get
says,
that
"Now
out
we're
of the
done."
way. All right, Kevin, you got the final, anything else?
I just miss him. I
Yeah,
miss,
you too.
I miss the laughs. I just miss him. Not a day goes by. I don't, I don't tear up over something.
Yeah,
Something he said, or I'm in the car thinking about what he'd be talking about today, and it just, I just miss him. I'll leave it at that.
yeah.
He
You're
took
not
up
alone.
he took up a lot of he took up the air in the room. If he was there, you knew he was there. I don't care that the fact he was my dad, our dad. I never met anybody like him. I met a couple people like him that talked as much or whatever, but I'll never meet anybody like him again the rest of my life.
No, no, that's for sure.
Larger than life. You hear that term sometimes, but he truly was larger than life.
Yeah, I'm the straight man without a comic. We used to goof around, and I'd give him the lines and he'd do something with them, and don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
I miss that.
Murph, dad, was
Well,
relentless
I
with
told
Rick.
you this. I told you this, Ryan. You don't know how many times I grab my phone, get ready to call him. I want to make fun of him, want to tell him something that he thinks funny or whatever. But I still do it. I still grab my phone, go, I got to tell Hilligoss this. Yeah.
It just happened to me when Robert Redford passed away. My knee-jerk reaction was to call mom and dad. Uh, Dad took me to see we went to movies a lot when I was older, but when I was a kid, he hardly ever took us to the movies. If it did, it was mom, but twice he took us to the movie, me and Sean. We saw The Natural and we saw Out of Africa back to back. Uh, and dad, that was the one time that mom and dad both took us to a movie, but that was my knee-jerk reaction when Robert Redford passed away. Oh, I gotta call mom. I gotta call dad.
Yeah.
I can't. I can't.
So I
I'll
ended
tell
up
you
texting you
something.
guys.
I'll tell
And
you
that's
something,
fine. Yes.
Ryan.
Yes, Ruth.
My parents have been dead for what year is this?
Oh, grandpa
26,
passed away in
27 years.
2001. Yeah.
And there are times when I still think, gosh, I'll tell mom, or I'll go see mom today, and then you remember, no, they've been gone for 30 years,
For a
so
long time.
that never goes away. Just gets better.
Gets different.
Yeah.
It hits me at different times when I'm not expecting it.
I still think sometimes about Ron that way too. It'd be just yesterday I was thinking, wow, Ron would like that, or Ron would have enjoyed that, and it happens.
Yep. Murph, seriously, you and I will talk offline. I want to set up a series of interviews with you, just like I was trying to do with Dad. And it may be just as bad. You can tell a story or two. So we're gonna have to rein you in. I'm gonna have to get Bobby, and Megan to come in and on this, and we're gonna do a series of interviews.
Okay.
Mike's a great storyteller.
Oh yeah.
I've been blessed to have some amazing people in my life.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you for
Okay.
spending 2 hours out of your day to talk about Dad. Remember Dad?
Thanks a lot,
Oh,
buddy.
hey, one last thing. This is Dad's megaphone. Murph, Murph, did you ever see this?
Yes, I see it. Yeah.
Well, he got this. Him and Tim would go to this sign sale in Indianapolis,
Yeah.
and one of the couples there that sold signs, he gave him this. He was the human megaphone, and when he got this, I was like, "That's all that he needs is a fucking megaphone."
Yeah,
Really,
he needs a
just
megaphone.
what he needs. Nobody can hear him
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
Bobby Lee, happy birthday, buddy!
Okay.
All right, everybody have a good
All right.
day.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Rick, Aaron, stay on here for a minute. Oh, Aaron, come back. Hang on. I'm trying to do something. Live stream.